Happy birthday, Madras. Namma Madras. Namma Chennai is entering it into its 381st birthday this year on 22nd August 2020. I'm very happy to bring to you yet another story from the land of Madras. If you had watched my earlier recordings on the birth of Madras, you would have known that before this town was born, there were hamlets of villages. And a small hamlet of fishing village was the actual original place from where the Georgetown, the earlier Madras, was born. Years passed, and that particular small chunk of land, which is called the Madras, was not sufficient enough to cater the needs of the Englishman and the business community at large. There needed a lot of infrastructure, there needed a lot of resources to be developed. Hence, the city or the town had to be developed. So the nearby villages like the Nungambakam, Chetpet, and the stretch of the villages were acquired and brought into the map of Madras. With the immense opportunities in trading and the decade of development activities which were happening in Madras, it gave its position a significant place in the world's economies, known to be the world's one of the most technologically advanced cities in those days itself. You know, the Spencer Plaza in Mount Road was the first shopping complex being built as far India is concerned. There were trams running on the roads. There were beautiful European architectural buildings built. There were colleges of Sanskrit and English. Lots was happening. And then, as years passed, say around 1920, when already the Madras was now turned into the Madras Presidency, and Madras being the capital of that, it was one of the strongest place in India. The need for residential hubs started raising it. So during that time, in say 1920, the Madras town development planning took up to expand the city further, and they looked out for a place, and they found one beautiful village called the Mambalam. A beautiful village. Of course, there were lots and lots of sides of forest where foxes dwelt. There were many foxes. So they just chose that, and they decided that that be converted into a pure residential hub. And thus, extensive planning work happened, and say around within 3 years, astonishing place was thus created. Give a name called the Nagar. Now, Nagar today is known as the T.nagar. During those times, when Madras was developing, the authorities decided to advance this particular place, that is Nagar, the most. If you can believe it, those who are into Chennai, those who know Chennai, they wouldn't have missed out visiting this Venkatanarayana Road in T.nagar now. During those days, what I'm talking about is 1923 to 1925 or so. In Venkatanarayana Road, there used to be fire hoses. Like how now we are having in all our buildings as a safety measures. During those days, on the main road, on the sides of it, they would have the fire hoses. In case of fire outbreak, the hoses will break and it will support extinguishing the fire. Such was the planning advanced level. And the roads were so wide, both On both the sides, there used to be like huge good trees. There were many parks and houses, especially when you go around the G.N. Chetty Road. Both the sides you'll find massive bungalows, houses, well built during those times. So these were all the scene of T.nagar. And very interesting part is that when they wanted to develop T.nagar, Tyagaraja Nagar, from scratch, I mean to say, cut off all the trees, stretch a plan, lay the roads, make people buy the plots, and convince them to stay there amidst the foxes, I must say. Because during night, who knows, somebody knocks at the door, opens and say the bright eyes of the fox is waiting to corrupt you. That was the time. Rupees 500 per ground. Yes, you heard it right. Rupees 500 in Indian currency to buy 1 ground. Now you go to T.nagar. Try to find a chunk of land. The cost going to touch the sky. Yes, because it is the most happening commercial hub, not just in Chennai, not just in Tamil Nadu, one of the most well-known commercial hubs in the world is Chennai T.nagar, the Tyagaraja Nagar. Tyagaraja Nagar has many interesting facts to be told. So if you had already visited T.nagar, whatever I'm saying you can relate to. Or if you are just a foreigner or from other city who have never visited Chennai, Madras, I recommend you to, whenever the COVID situation gets sorted out, I recommend you to visit Chennai, our Madras, and see to yourself, visiting this place called T.nagar. You will be amazed to see how the business happens here. There is a very popular street, you heard it right, street called Ranganathan Street. A narrow 30 feet, hardly 30 feet road, which takes you straight from the main road to Mambalam railway station. Just 1.5 to 2 kilometers of that particular street will be always filled with human heads. I mean, you can't see anybody. It will be so very, very crowded. The Ranganathan Street is where most of the, shops like textile, jewelry, utensils, you name it, you get it there at reasonable cost. So people, they just ply on and come into there for shopping. Now, but that Ranganathan Street, what I'm talking is now the present Ranganathan Street. Just imagine during 1935, 1940, where people were slowly building houses. This same Ranganathan Street was known as a divine street, or say got its name from a deity called the Ranganathan, Lord Vishnu. And the houses, the stretch of houses used to be really traditional. And that particular street we used to call it as Agrahara, the street which is in front of a temple. No shops at all. In Ranganathan Street, there were no shops, only houses. And that too, most of the household people will be working for the temple or servicing in the temple. Yes. Because T.nagar was covered with 2 or 3 major temples. The popularly one is called the Shiva Vishnu Alayam. So just 2 lanes from the temple is this Ranganathan Street. So during those times, no shops, as I told you, no crowd, only residential place. T.nagar was just residential, no name for business, like how we have today. So yes, and then few years back, later, there did come some shops, like say 3 shops. One was the books called the Lifco books, another was of some utensil shops, and another was. So whatever, there were only 3 shops there on the Ranganathan Theru that was told. And that of course now, those who are in Chennai, they will relate. Now you will not find a single house. It's packed with shops and much more shops. But got the three shops that I told you, like say around 1940, 1945, those shops are still there till date. So, T.nagar was initially developed for the residential purpose. Now, when residential purpose, you must say that people would like to go out. Yes, so they had to build a pakka town. It was a town planning. So you had proper water system. You had clean, bright, broad roads and beautiful layout where you can build your houses. Not like cramped one. There were a lot of space available for you to minimum one ground, say 2,400 square feet that you can buy. So this kind of a layout being done, and people were convinced to buy. It's like, because during that time there was nothing. Like how we try to think our houses now to suburbs. During that time, T.nagar was a suburb outside the town, right? So yes, so then it was designed so beautifully that people were like attracted to build their houses here. How? I'll tell you. In the center of that location, there was a huge park that was built called the Panagal Park. Now, Panagal Park was named after that time Raja, or say the Prime Minister of that time Madras Presidency, Panagal. So his name was taken in, and this particular park was created. Lots and lots of all type of trees from across the world was planted here, and it was a beautiful community gathering place where it was believed that around in the evening many people would come there, and there would be a big clock-like thing where it will have a radio, and it will be like 7:15, or say how we have 98.3 FM. That's time. This is all radio thing. 7.15 or something. So that radio would provide them a lot of news and songs during that particular evening time. And people would love to walk and come and sit in that particular park just to listen to that speaker, the radio. A great source of entertainment and social gathering and community feeling. Okay, so they sit, chit chat, eat sundal, have a cup of filter coffee, and then they want to go out, do some shopping. As I told you, there was no shops there. There was a small market nearby that was called the London Market. Yes, you heard it right. Near the Panagal Park, there was a London Market. It's actually nothing. It used to be an evening market, and wherein you would find goods from various things from across the world. So people can go and buy from there, and that is also, it was known to be having an evening market only from 6 p.m. to 9 p.m. very near to the Panagal Park. But today when you go to that particular lane, you will find a lot of parking spaces there, parking blocks, and then lots and lots of complexes, big showrooms, and no space to walk around. Yes, so it's like today. But during those days, just imagine, there were only trees, vast roads, and there was a lot of air, and there's a lot of people to talk to. No motor vehicles. Many of them would prefer walking. Okay, so they finished that evening shopping. What if they want to buy something else? They needed a bazaar, right? This is a residential place. They had to buy something. So the bazaar was just behind. So the Panagal Park was a center point. So surrounded by this was many things. So just behind Panagal Park, a special bazaar was created. Today we know that as the Pondi Bazaar. Yeah. The Pondi Bazaar that time was called as Soundara Pandian Bazaar. Yes, Soundara Pandian Bazaar, where they had many other shops. So it was so beautifully planned. Yes, bazaar is done. What else? They needed to have buy, So then things started rolling, and slowly, steadily, the business venture started coming in, because residents, market, demand, supply. So just the textiles, because Chennaities love wearing ornaments. They love jewels, gold, diamonds, silver. So a lot of jewelry shops started opening here. There's a lot of textile showrooms opening here. There were malls opening here. And just you could see as the years passed on, T.nagar, the Tyagaraja, of course, the name of that particular Tyagaraja Nagar is again named after P.T. Tyagaraja, and a higher official in that particular, during those times, there was a justice party. So he was in as a higher official in that. So Sir Tyagaraja Nagar was created and it became a kind of a great place to live in, happening, the place to live in. Yeah. So, and mostly Indians were living in. Yeah, there were no foreigners. They were mostly Indian community who were working as a teachers or whatever for the Englishmen or the other. So they were getting their land and they were building their houses and they were living in. And days passed. The Madras presidency felt the Srinagar should be the best place to start any other development activity. So they built a bus stand. The Madras got its first bus stand in T.nagar. And they also built a railway station. Of course, the railway station was like from Egmore to Kanjipuram, and Mambalam was one of the main important stations. Yes. So the bus stand and the station were quite nearby. Now, bus stand meaning the first bus. All of you from Chennai, from Madras, listen to me. The first bus in Madras was started in T.nagar. And now what we have, number 9, the bus number 9, which travels from T.nagar to, say, Paris, was the one. That time it used to travel from T.nagar to Egmore. So till Egmore, so everything was there. All that Ranganathan Street, the Venkat Narayana Road, the G.N. Chetty Road, you can relate to. And if you are from T.nagar, right, because that T.nagar was the first town development planning area which was developed. So thank you for watching this Madras Day special story from me, Srividya Veeraraghavan. Happy birthday, Madras. Ciao.